hidden. See where it says do not disturb?
Wow. Okay, I don't know.
Where?
It is that video. No.
Scroll the other way.
Scroll.
Oh.
Notifications?
No, the other side. Yeah, the other side. Today.
Today.
You got to scroll and then scroll your fingers
We're getting ready to start.
I know. Scroll your fingers down. And it'll say do not disturb.
Shit. Okay, well, hopefully it's not going to.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I learned something.
Okay.
Wi-Fi isn't set up on your Echo. For help, go to your Alexa app.
Goodbye.
We're good.
Okay, I'm pushing live.
Okay. Raise your hand when we're live. And hello, everybody. It is Tom Chenault, and it's the Tom Chenault Show. I hope you are having a tremendous day today. My sponsor for the show is quite unhappy with me because I don't mention contact mapping enough. So they decided to reinvent my back screen and just try some subliminal messaging. So I have a feeling you have noticed it by now and you're going, holy mackerel, that's it. But you know what? Look what the NFL does. Look what Eric Worre does. Look what Loren Lahav does. Everybody promotes everything. So I guess, you know, I'm not much of a promoter, but I guess I'm going to try a little bit today. So that's what we're going to do. So this is going to be a crazy show. We're in a brand new studio. It is crazy how cool this is. I wish I could show you the whole deal. We'll take some pictures and post them in the comments so you can just see everything going on. But it is unbelievable. And normally I have two guests, but that's because I know, and don't anybody that's been part of the two guest drill get offended here, but I know that it's easy to run out of content because I used to interview, every day I had a radio show where I was on 3 hours every day, and I interviewed people like you would not believe, like Donald Trump and Maria Bartiromo and Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, and Kramer, all those guys. And I had to interview them in 5 minutes, and that was plenty of time. So I just know for a fact that in a half an hour show, I can cover almost all the bases until I get a person like Loren. And she is such an amazing person. I didn't want to take a chance of running out of air. So here's the deal. This woman is amazing. I mean, since the day she was born, daughter of an optometrist, she just grew up with this entrepreneurial streak with her brother, and she's never, ever given it up. She has decided to become somebody in literally every area of her life that she wanted to, including going to work for the Del Mar racetrack as director of thoroughbred horses or some crazy deal. She is amazing. And then she hooked up with Tony Robbins. Obviously, she got in the network marketing space in 1990. She's just something else. And everything she touches turns to success because she understands one thing, like I understand one thing, and that it isn't about it. It's about the people doing it. And she is the master connector of people at a level like I've never seen before. Sweet Loren, how are you, kid?
So good. You're so sweet. I just want to hug you through the phone. You're just so nice. I just adore you and your beautiful wife as well. So
she's not bad to look at, that girl, and I love her to death. She is doing something today. We're moving into a new house, so she's busier than heck, but she was heartbroken. She couldn't be on the show, number one, because she likes you, but more importantly, because of your philanthropic heart. I mean, we've caught you doing so many things extraordinary for the underdog when nobody was looking that it's unbelievable, and she wanted to tell you she loves you for that too, Loren, so thank you.
I appreciate it. That's what drives me for sure.
So tell me a story. Who are you? I mean, how can somebody so tiny be such a ball of fire?
I would say I may be little, but I'm mighty.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit of the backstory you started to share a little bit is I'm originally from Asheville, North Carolina. I'm a little Jewish girl from the South who had big dreams. I mean, I grew up on flea markets, going to the flea markets with my mom, working at Dreamland Drive-In We would get up early in the morning and we'd go to work selling just stuff. And, you know, stay there all day long. And like you said, my brother and I were like, hey, this looks pretty interesting. We're making all this money for mom. Why don't we start our own? We started a leather, remember the leather bracelets and the leather belts, and you'd stamp them and color them and I paint them. So we started a company called the Cow's Hide. Then, yeah, and I saw my dad work really hard, you know, and I saw my parents work really hard. And I was like, you know what, I want to participate in some way. And as well as my dad was with the Lions Club. He was in the Lions Club for 52 years. So we would always be selling brooms for the Lions Club. We'd light bulbs. We'd go helping at the Margie McCune Home for the Blind. I was just writing a story today about my dad. One of his patients was a guard at one of the prisons, and he was explaining that the prisoners, they had to line up, and some retired optometrist would just check their eyes. And my dad's like, well, why don't we just bring them into the office? And he brought them into the office, and my mom was telling me that, you know, my dad lost a lot of patients because of that. People are like, I don't want to be there when these maximum security prisoners are there. And I saw my dad treat them, I might cry. I saw my dad treat them with so much respect, you know, whether it's the garbage collector to a, you know, surgeon. And for me, that's where I really learned, even with my mom, by working at the flea markets, that, you know, everybody's important, no matter, you know, what their background is. And, you know, as I said, my dad always taught me that, I mean, I went to every kind of church. I mean, I'm raised in Billy Graham country. I went to Billy Graham revivals. I've been to churches where they spoke in tongues, and I went to Catholic school, and my parents would say the worst thing you could be is be ignorant. And they made me, you know, not make me, they, you know, recommended for me to understand everybody's world. And I think that just learning people's stories created so much curiosity and appreciation for who people are and what they've been through and what they're going through. So, and as you said, you know, I went to, so I did that. I was the first girl from Western North Carolina to ever get an Army ROTC scholarship. And I went to the University of Georgia. I'm telling you my whole story. Went to, everybody expected me to move to Atlanta and go, you know, work with CNN. And I was the rebel. And I was like, I think I'll go to Colorado and move to Vail and work on my doctorate of waitressing degree. And so that's what I did. And I moved there, and then I was going to be in sports marketing, and I waited on a table full of men, and they said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I'm like, well, I want to be in Vail, Colorado for the rest of my life, being a waitress. And then they started laughing, and I said, no, I'm going to get into sports marketing. And back in 1987, that wasn't really a thing. And this guy goes, my name's Joe Harper. I'm general manager of the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, and I want you to come work for me. And I'm like, where is Del Mar? And he's like, you're perfect. So I moved to San Diego, didn't know a soul. I worked in the group sales and overseeing I was the winner circle girl, and I loved it, but it was just kind of this feeling, as wonderful it was, I was still having this feeling of something was missing, and that was that of contribution. And 30 years ago, this November, my friend Tom Lander said, look, we're going to go deliver food to the homeless. Do you want to go? And I'm like, oh my God, that'd be amazing. So I show up at this big house in Del Mar, California, but everybody had a big house in Del Mar. And this house just happened to be in the shape of a castle. And my boyfriend in college had bought me Tony's book, and I never read it. And he goes, one day we're going to go to a Tony Robbins seminar. And I'm like, you're a freak. I'm not good doing that. And anyway, it turned out it was Tony's house 30 years ago. It was his very first basket brigade. And I'm like, oh my God, like people finally like me. And I had heard about, just so you know, somebody came and shared a product with me in network marketing, but they never told me about the business. So I did not get involved, just so you know, until 12 years ago. I said no for 17 years because I had the I'm too cool syndrome, you know, about it. And no one ever brought up the business. They just brought up the products for me. So, and then I went and that night at Tony's house, you know, there were about, I remember walking around the turret, and I remember seeing this guy in the present, this guy in, you know, Nelson Mandela. And I'm like walking around, I see like the book framed in a shadow box. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's that book that my boyfriend Frank bought me in college. And Tony comes up behind me, and he was only 29 at the time. And he goes, oh, have you read my book? And I'm like, no, I haven't read it, but I have it. And I was 24. And he goes, look, I saw you had a really great time. I'd like to invite you to stay for Thanksgiving. So I'm like, all right, cool, like whatever. So I go and I sit around, and the table's shaped like a horseshoe. And there was my friend, Tom, and then there was his really cute friend, and then there was me, and the really cute friend of his goes, what are you doing here? Like, I'm like, I don't know. That guy, you know, invited me, the guy that was in the turret. And he goes, do you know where you are? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm at some house in Del Mar, you know, and I just, because of working at the racetrack, I'd been to fancy schmancy parties and all that stuff. And he goes, this is Tony Robbins' company. And I'm like, whatever, like, you know. I was just, you know, I didn't hear it. And then Tony asked each person to stand up and say what they were most grateful for. And I'm like, I felt my heart sink for a minute. And I'm like, wow, you know, I haven't asked myself that question in a really long time. And I think when we start to get comfortable, you know, we don't ask ourselves. I mean, I live in Las Vegas, and when the recession happened, everybody started to ask themselves that question again, you know? And I'm like, wow, I'm grateful that I finally met a group of people. It's funny, I'm wearing a gratitude shirt. I'm grateful that I finally met a group of people like you, because I didn't know that they were out there. And I think that also happened to me when just getting involved in network marketing. I was like, oh my God, more people like me, like, and you, Tom. Like, I remember meeting you at GoPro, and I'm like, God, what a freaking amazing couple. And so I was, is that feeling again that I had that night back in November 1989. And I had a great night, and it was amazing, and met great people. But I did, you know, Tony talks a lot about the 6 human needs, and we have 6 needs: the need for certainty, variety, love and connection, significance, and growth and contribution. And what happened was that, you know, that law of familiarity kind of set back in, and I'm like, oh my God, but I got to go home and pay the bills and work. But I think what happens is, right, like, you have an experience, and nobody can take that experience away from you. And I had this great night, and, you know, went back, and even though I had more of an awareness about what I really wanted in my life. And then 6 months later, I was renting a room from my friend Tom, poor Tom. I mean, Tom's just getting slammed in this because Tom was actually in a network marketing company and never shared it, you know, like with the whole thing. But anyway, he rented out a room to me, and it turned out he was renting out the room to somebody else as well. And I came home, and there were a bunch of guy stuff in my room. So he was renting out the same room to me that he was renting out to someone else, because he didn't think that we would meet up, because this guy was traveling on the road a lot. And that is the father of my 3 children. And so you just never know what'll happen. And I went and worked, and then they asked me to work for the company. And I went, and I was in the production department with Tony, planning events and ins and outs, and pretty much created the volunteer program, the crew department, because I knew that we wanted to create an environment within the environment, and did that. And then Tony asked me to move to Fiji and launch the program called Life Mastery. So we lived there for 2.5 years. Am I giving you enough, or am I talking way too much?
We got to take a quick break. You have completely done a perfect job. It is exactly as I wanted. And I need you to know how smart I am, because this show would have been like over, and we just getting started because she's the only guest today. I am so happy we've got Loren on here. I'm weeping. This is exactly who we all want to be when we grow up. She is about legacy and meaning. We'll be back right after this. And we're back. Hello.
Holy moly.
Yes.
Loren is the real deal.
Oh, and you needed to wear a contact mapping shirt.
I
Loren,
did.
we can still see you.
But the problem is you didn't wear the green shirt like I asked you.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm in
you
trouble.
Disappear
Yeah, they wanted me to.
In your head. I'm sorry I talked too much.
Just a
You know,
floating
I'm
head.
back.
I had no idea this set was going to look like this. You've done a great job.
It's looking pretty cool.
I can't believe it. It's very, very good.
Finally, these sponsorship dollars are at work.
Yes, but listen to me. Should Loren be she is exactly why we are she's why we're in business.
She's the epitome. Unbelievable. Yeah. And Loren, I know you know this. I know you know how much you mean to Kim Calabrese, but I mean, just the story of the way you impacted her life, and how, you know, just the way all of this weaves together. And that's one of thousands of stories and thousands of people who you've impacted. But that's what this is all about.
No doubt about it. And you did it like it was a natural, like it was just intuitive. There's no forcing it with you. And I'm in this new mode of radical self-inquiry. and always, because I always tried to be somebody else and be as hip, slick, and cool. And that person over there that had all the friends, that had all the business, I could never figure out why that person had all that. You're that person. And now I finally understand why you have all that. It's because it's such an inside job, and she's such an extraordinary human being on the inside, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Loren, talk a little bit about that, like that transformation of what you went through in terms of doing that personal development that allowed you to then be able to build the kind of relationships that you do.
I guess, I think it goes way far back. I think it started with my parents. Like I said, like my parents, they really instilled on me to understand and appreciate people's stories and where they're at. It wasn't so easy growing up, honestly, where I lived. Now it's a very hip, cool place, but it was hard. And so I think that, I don't know, I just love hearing people's stories. Like today, I got a flat tire, and so I was with the Uber driver, and she was telling me about, her mother passed away. She's now in school for being a phlebotomist. I actually knew what a phlebotomist was. She was like impressed about that. She has a 6-year-old daughter, and I'm like, hey, come hang out with us. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, just come hang out with us. I think I've got some friends that you might like. So I guess for me, I don't know. I just think it's our responsibility. I think that we miss out on the joys. I was also writing another thing saying, 2007, the world changed. June 29, 2007, the world changed because iPhone came out. My daughter was born. But I think people are missing out on the juice of life when they're not just sitting and starting a conversation. I don't know. I just love it. I don't know if I just say to people, like, look around, look what's right in front of you. Amazing stories, amazing opportunities. I don't know if it was the personal development part of it. I think it was just, I don't know. I think that we all are like hungry for that feeling that we're not alone too. That I think that's a big challenge, and to let people know that they're not alone. And so if you get in there and like find out their story, the master is my friend Jeff Roberti. He understands the power of relationships.
Yep. Okay, so we got to do this. We got to come back. So wait 2 seconds. And we're back. It's the Tom Chenault Show. I hope you are having an incredible day. Thank you, Ted Anderson from Genesis Communication Network. We love the fact that you put us on the radio every week all over the world. You are an amazing, amazing human being, Ted. And it's also Ted Anderson's birthday today, which is like the cutest thing in the world. So, Ted, this is a telephone and radio hug to you for being the man that you are on so many levels. We are with just one of the most incredible people you'll ever want to meet in your life. And Loren was talking to us about and took us all the way up to the edge of going to work for Tony Robbins in the production department. But that's just the beginning of the story. So continue that on, Loren. It's important.
Let's see. I think I went, so I was in production, loved it, doing events. And then, from events from 10 people to 20,000 people that we were planning events. And then the crew, it was a big outcome for me for graduates of the program to be able to come back and create community, and because people were hungry for more. Then it was September 11th, we were in Hawaii doing a program, and obviously a bunch of the speakers couldn't get in. And Tony's like, well, I own a resort in Fiji. I have great speakers. I have people that can facilitate the program. So he asked me and my kid's father to move to Fiji. So we moved our family to Fiji. For 2.5 years, we launched a program called Life Mastery when cleansing wasn't cool. We went to like every kind of program you could, raw food certified, wheatgrass, know everything about wheatgrass, everything you can imagine. And so we launched the program. We lived there for 2.5 years. We taught 36 week-long programs a year. So a group would come in, we'd fall in love with them, then they would leave, and then another group would come in, and we'd fall in love with them. And we did that for 2.5 years, and our boys were going to school there and learning the simple things and getting to meet all kinds of people. And then I was like, I got to come back. I feel like I've got a big mission I need to do. And that's when I came back and started doing some events for women, because I saw, a lot of women going, well, who am I at my core? And I launched these events, and did that. And then I got into network marketing. I was still working, teaching a couple life masteries, and I was teaching a couple of events in Newport Beach 12 years ago. And I'm like, I love this. I go, but I mean, I was still like, I was like, I'm 41 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm still not getting ahead. I'd written a couple books. One of my books was in People magazine. That was kind of cool. It was the most inspiring book of the year. And it wasn't a marketing campaign. It was somebody. So, and I came back, and that's when my friend Jeff Roberti was attending an event, and I don't know, the rest is history, I guess.
What I love, and I am a big Tony Robbins fan, Landmark Forum guy, LifeSpring, Psy seminars, Michael Burnoff. I mean, you name it. I've done their courses. But being able to monetize personal development has been really, really a blessing for me too. And I carry my life like Alcoholics Anonymous and personal development inside of network marketing, where I know that my job is to serve, not make money. And you make a pile of money. Let's leave it at that. But at the end of the day, what you make is far more than that, because you've been able to finance making a difference on a global scale that can't be measured by money. Right, Loren?
Absolutely. I mean, probably one of the, I love what money just makes you more of what you already are, right? Or money is a direct reflection of how many people that you've helped. And I'm like, I want to help a ton of people. Probably one of the coolest moments was at Eric's event. I think it was the Most Powerful Women event. And he said, okay. And he introduced the Starkey Foundation about a mission trip. And I turned a bunch of people. I'm like, let's do it. I'm like, it's 25 grand, Lauren. I'm like, let's do it. Let's figure it out. We've got a team here that's watching us. They're watching. And if we don't go do this, then what are they going to do? Right. Yeah. And I turned to a couple of people, and I was shocked that a couple of people didn't do it. Like, honestly, it kind of surprised me. I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to make this happen. And it wasn't like it was easy for me at that time, actually, to do a $25,000, just, write a check at that moment. My son had just moved to New York. He went to the Gemology Institute. I had other 2 kids in private school, one in lacrosse. Life happens, assistants, all of those type of things. So it's not like it was just easy just to write the check. And I went up on stage, and I'm like, I'm going to freaking figure this out, and then I was thinking about how resourceful can I be so that I can raise money for this trip. And probably the best experience of my life was going with my son, who's now 19, and we went to Vietnam. And we worked, and we did hearing aids, 5,000 hearing aids in 2.5 weeks in Vietnam in the summer. But it was probably one of the most extraordinary things I've ever done, And then what happens is it causes you to go, well, I want to do more. So last year on my 53rd birthday, I was like, we're going to do 5,300 backpacks. I'm going to order 5,300 backpacks, 12 grand. And I'm like, oh my God. But then you see all your friends, 100 doing backpacks here and 100 doing backpacks here. I'm like, yes. This is better than freaking buying a new pair of shoes or buying a new handbag.
All right, we're going to take another break. This is hilarious. We have just gotten into her introduction, but now you can see why she's successful. She hasn't talked about herself. She's talked about how everybody wins by being a citizen of the world. We'll be back right after this on the Tom Chenault Show on the Genesis Communication Network. And we're back. Holy mackerel. Don't you love her? Here's just my little commercial boy. Is there anything, you went to Vietnam with your son. Now I'm with him 24/7. He shows up for me like he's 5. And I just did a podcast and I listened to it. And I did a tremendous podcast with a guy that you have to listen to. I'm going to put the link after the show because I didn't want to interrupt the show. But I said 3 things that are going to piss him off so much that it's going to be unbelievable. He may never talk to me again, but I'm so natural. And, I love him so much that I forget about the family filter. So I'm saying dumb stuff all the time. So I'm apologizing in advance.
Every time you make this apology, I feel more and more urgently I need to go listen to this podcast.
Yes, you do.
All right, we better go listen to it.
Jack Kawasaki what's his name?
Kosakowski.
Yeah, this guy's just started a new podcast. The first thing he said in the whole thing was, I want to debate Eric Worre about multi-level marketing, which is really, really cool too. So I called Eric wherever he is. It was the middle of the night, so I got voicemail. And I told him we had Loren, and I also said that we're going to interview Jack.
The Business Banter Podcast is what it's called.
It's called what?
The Business Banter Podcast. So Jack, if you're watching, throw your link on there so people can subscribe and we'll have some fun with it.
Yeah, and his headline was How a Guy Turned Writing a Hot Check into a Business Career. Thanks, Jack.
Which is about right.
Awesome. Happens to be true, but it was kind of hurtful. So we're even. So talk to me about contact.
Yeah, so contact mapping is about how to turn a hot check into a business career.
Yeah.
Contact mapping is really about how you can take the things that, you heard Loren tell that unbelievable story about asking her Uber driver to come hang out with her and hang out with her friends. And you hear that and it sounds like the most natural thing in the world, but I would be shocked if anybody watching this show right now has ever done that, because we're not courageous enough. We're not present enough. We're not any of these things. And that's one of the many things that has made Loren as successful as she is, and you as well. And what contact mapping is really about is trying to give you the tooling and give you the system to help you realize that is the secret to success. I fundamentally believe that your relationships, the way you treat people and the way you maintain those relationships, not just the way you connect up front, but it's the way you actually carry that relationship forward to turn it into a relationship that lasts for years and years. So few people do that. And if you can become one of them, you are going to positively impact a lot of people. You're going to make a lot of money and you're going to be a lot happier. That's what this is about.
Loren, our life, yours and mine, has intersected more on philanthropy than business, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Think about it. Just without mentioning any names or mentioning anything, there are people out there in the world that that need my help and people that I know that need your help. And what a great thing to be able to pick up my phone and know I have a little bit like Kim. I mean, Kim's story is really indicative of it. Loren helped her write this beautiful book on grieving, and then they needed some help and they reached out to me, and it's the same deal on so many fronts. Who we are, that's the scorecard as human beings, isn't it, Loren?
Yeah, you have no idea. I mean, I met the lady Ursula at Whole Foods, and when Eric did that, people were offering to help at Christmas time, and you guys helped Ursula with her daughter who's 3 years old. I met him at Whole Foods. This little girl is waiting for a new heart, and you guys helped out. I just got a message from Ursula yesterday. It's crazy, the timing of it. People appreciate it, and I think it's just, what it is. I have a mirror that every day I walk out of my house and it says, do the right thing every doggone day of your life. Bottom line, just do the right thing. And I think if people really just did the right thing, their lives, that they realize that the money will show up, they're not living from scarcity, that they're just really present, that they're really just, I don't know. I mean, putting your cart back, at the grocery store, just instead of pushing it up on the curb, just do the right thing. Right. I think that's what it's really about for me.
All those tiny little things. And then when you document those tiny little things inside of your app, so when you see somebody again, you can actually call up. There was a guy yesterday on the phone, and he goes, "You called me the wrong name, Tom." I go, "No, I know who you are." And I told him, I said, "You got 6 kids, you love Yosemite, you grew up in San Francisco." And the guy about swallowed his cigar, because even though I misspoke his last name, I knew his blood type. And he is still wondering how the hell I did that. And I just overheard a conversation in Las Vegas at an event when he was speaking, because he was an impressive guy. And I just jotted it all down without even knowing him.
Holy moly.
I'm an unbelievable guy.
So go to contactmapping.com and you should bring us back.
I'm bringing us back? Okay, good. We're coming back right after this. This is the Tom Chenault Show. And we're back. It's Tom Chenault. It is Loren Lahav, and she is amazing. And we're just walking through her life about paying it forward every inch of the way and getting paid for it. And that's all network marketing is falling in love with the process, falling in love with your company, falling in love with your product, but mostly falling in love with the people that are building your business for you. And that's all it boils down to, is love like crazy, then love more. And stop trying to be hip, slick, and cool. Be this person that just gives more than you get. Take your agenda out, put their agenda in, and all of a sudden miracles start to happen. Just like Tony Robbins says, all over the world, literally once a month. Right, Loren?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure.
And doesn't that feel good? I mean, when you meet people every day that you've touched their lives at such a major level beyond finances, don't you just like, doesn't it just bring you to your knees?
Can I show you something real quick? It might take me
Sure.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Good. This is great. This is like, why didn't we do this during the, we don't have commercials. All right, we're going to do this. So what she's doing, what Loren is doing is running to get something that I'm going to verbally tell you because it's a radio show, what she's showing me. But this woman is such an amazing person that even her pillow's got the word love on it. The one that she's sitting on to look taller on the show. But she's pulling out a huge bin right now. And inside of that bin is $1 million. No. Inside of that bin. What is that?
This is one of seven bins. One of seven. And I keep every handwritten note anybody's ever written me.
Okay. That just makes me cry because you're going to die, Loren. Your kids.
I don't want to die. Don't make me die. I don't want to die.
Then your kids are going to get old and they're going to die. And then your grandkids, and they're going to look at those 7 bins over there. I've always wondered about my grandmother, what kind of person she was, because I think she was a hell of a person. I would love to have those 7 bins on my grandmother. Don't you dare let your kids throw those away. That's the most unbelievable thing I ever saw in my life. Isn't that? But that means everything to you, doesn't it?
And yeah, and when I'm having a bad day or I'm beating myself up about not getting things done that I wanted to get done, you know, or I just go and I'll just grab a couple notes out of there and I'll read it. And it'll remind me again of why I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, and it wasn't, yeah. So yeah, I keep every handwritten note, whether if it's on a tiny bit of whatever, you know, I keep every note.
Isn't it amazing? And I saw Michael Burnoff when I announced you on the show. He talked about you. So we'll drop his name here. And Tony and all these people. The common denominator that every one of those people have is not about making a ton of money, but everybody being a better person and the money's going to come. Isn't that it?
Absolutely. That's what it is. I mean, you know, there's a quote, a Irma Bomback quote, and it says, I hope at the end of my life, I'll just slide on into heaven because God used every bit of talent that he gave me, you know, and to really help as many people as possible. Like look, my job is to, I remember my dad when he was in his office once, as I share with you, I'm a little Jewish girl from the South. And I remember this lady that worked for him said, Doc, I hope you don't take offense to this, but you're the most Christ-like person I've ever met. And my dad said, are you kidding me? That's the highest compliment you could ever pay me, you know, and it's living that, you know, that life of service. One of my favorite books is, I don't know if you've ever seen this book, but I love it. It's a book about service, about Ramdam's Ladder. Have you ever seen this? Of
course I have. Yeah. Wow.
Right. So great book about, you know, generosity and why it's necessary to give. And it's what first thing is responsibility, right? So number 8, highest thing is about responsibility. So anyway.
Ray Higdon, his event raises giant money. That's just coming up. I mean, you name it. These leaders all lead with their heart. And everybody thinks they lead with their wallet or they're trying to get this money and they multiply the amount of people in the room times 300. And they say, look at how much money they're making. And Eric and Marianne Worre, Rob, Sperry, Frazier, Brooks, Ray Higdon, Jeff Roberti are all looking out on that crowd. And they're not looking at the money. They're looking at the saving of lives. And if you want to be big in this business, you have to think like them, right?
Absolutely. I mean, especially, I was just thinking back to when Eric and Marina did the auction for here, the October 1, to help serve here. And they had just moved here to Las Vegas and they took the Audi, their Audi that they had, and they put that up, and I think it was $100 a ticket. And the lady, and she was in the very last seat in the very last row of 16,000 people.
Scared to death.
She went up there, and I mean, to see Eric and Marina so lit up, I think everybody was lit up in that room, right? Eric's like, how many tickets did you buy? And she's like, what? You know, and so I don't, and you, it was, I think that I'm sure that if we asked Eric and Marina what the highlight of was that event for them, was that, I guarantee you that was on, you know, one of the highlights for them. So for sure.
Yeah. And every one of you, the skills are great. But when you get into the radical self-inquiry of being a human being and start understanding that you are awesome, God made you awesome. And you don't have to be like Loren, you don't have to be like Tom, you don't have to be like Adrian, you don't have to be like Chad Williams. All you have to be is your best you, and you are off to the races. But that means peeling that onion back and finding your greatness within, right?
Absolutely. You know, it's funny, a quote in one of my books is, to be a person you're not is to waste the person you are. And I think that so many times, you know, a lot of people, you know, used to say, oh, you know, the biggest compliment I think that I could pay anybody from all these books that I've read, this is just 3 of my, you know, shelves of books, is to be my best me, right? When people go, I mean, I don't want to be anything more than my best me. I mean, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, you know, I've had totally different experiences than anybody else, but I can take what I've learned. And, you know, obviously it's very important for me to edify, like where I learn information from. But, I mean, why not? I mean, why would I waste who I am? You know, and not everybody loves me. I'll be honest, Tom, you know, I'll love you, but I'll kick you in the butt too. And for a lot of people, it doesn't work for them, you know, and that's okay. I'm okay with that, because I know, here's what I know about myself. I know without a doubt that my intentions are always good. People might not like how it, like, I know, and I've seen you do it too, right? Our intention is always good. I mean, you know, maybe my finesse isn't always there. And I'm, you know, I'm a lot of times people think I'm a squirrel. You know, I got a lot of projects that are going on, but I am laser focused. You know, I've got my freaking goggles right here, and I put my goggles on, and when it's time to go to work, you know, I put my goggles on. But I know more than anything, if anybody ever tries to, you know, take that, you know, knowingness away from me, nobody can take it away from me unless I give it to them, because I know who I am and I know what I stand for.
This much I know is true, is what I love to say to people. And then I hammer them with something about their life that they don't want to hear. You know, my life is given to alcoholics and drug addicts. So hard truth is really, really important to be able to say to somebody with compassion and love. And a lot of times it doesn't work out for 5 years. And they call me back, and I know Jason Cardamone is on here. He had a friend that he called me about, and it was wonderful, and that ended out okay. Burnoff's on here. I know that. I mean, I am telling you one thing right now. We lock arms, and we become a band of fierce warriors who are committed to love and changing the world through abundance and not fear. We all win. We can win it from where we stand in this army called network marketing, in this army called personal development, and we can take everybody with us all the way to the top, where we don't have to deal with all this hate and cynicism and resignation anymore, right?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, that's what it just makes me so sad that, you know, the bullying and harassment is, you know, in the regular marketplace is still, you know, it still exists. I mean, like you said, we can all win. And I love, you know, that there's 2 simple truths. You're either adding light to the world or you're adding darkness to the world. Every time you say something nice about something, you add more light to the world. Every time you add, you know, say something negative, you add darkness to the world. And like, for me, those are the simple truths that I you know what? And I think another thing that's been really important for me is just forgiveness. You know, we talk about that. There's 3 things. 1, you got to get over it. Whatever old story was holding you back, whatever like BS, you know, of things that happen, you got to get over it. 2nd thing is you got to be willing to be coached and coach other people, right? And the 3rd thing is you've got to participate in your own rescue. So, you know, your show is such a great resource for people. There's so many great resources, podcasts, books, seminars, you know, everything, but you've got to choose to participate in your own. It's not just going to show up for you. You got to do the work. I think that's, you know, I just had, you know, getting my hair done for your show.
Looks nice.
Thank you very much. But the girl, you know, she was frustrated because some of the people that didn't work in her salon, they were just doing whatever to get by. I'm like, you know, it's the same way with anything. People, you've got to decide what it is for you. Some people, they just want to get a check and go home, and that's all good. But I'm hungry. I want to help a lot of people, a lot. Like, I am inspired by you and, Ray and, Fraser and, Eric and Marina, and so many people that are out there like doing big things. And I'm like committed to doing them as well. But I'm watching those people. And I think the biggest thing is watch the feet, not the lips, and I remember also many years ago when I was talking to Mark Victor Hansen, he said, look, tithe first, always.
Yeah.
Tithe.
He's a little miracle, man. What happened to him? He's kind of fallen out of the landscape. I love that guy. I had him on the show many, many times. Get hold of him. We got to get him on. You can help me co-host it. I forgot about that old curmudgeon. What happened to him?
Like you said, if you don't take time to have a conversations with people, you'll never it's always those 2 millimeter shifts, right? Like, that changed my life, because when he shared that with me was right before the recession happened. And I freaking lost my home, short sold my $1 million home for $304, paid $45,000 to get out of it, and it could have been easy for me to say, oh, I don't have the money to give to the organizations that I give to. And I remember Mark Victor Hansen's words, like, tithe first, Loren, always tithe first.
Crazy cool. All right, we got to take yet another break. This is the Tom Chenault Show on the Genesis Communication Network. I am so in love with Loren Lahav. It is frightening. You have no idea. She is who I want to be when I grow up. She's who you want to be when you grow up. Go to lorenlahav.com. Take a look at what she's doing, because I'm telling you, this woman, this little mighty mite, is changing the world. We'll be right back. And we're back with Adrian, the little other mighty mite, the little mini me. Hello, Adrian.
The mini me, mighty mite. There we go.
Yes, who you are. What's cooking, kid?
Nothing. Loren, I loved what you were talking about in participating in your own rescue and just the resources that are around us, right? And one of the things that I think a lot about is in every capacity, but I think especially in relationships, it's not that we lack resources, it's that we lack resourcefulness.
Correct.
And we've got to pull from who's around us. We got to pick up our head and look around and stop just, navel gazing, and get out there and connect with people, right? Because the answer to the question that you're wrestling with is not in here. Usually it's around you, and you just got to wake up and start talking to people.
And when I was trying to share the show on I was looking at my phone, Adrian kicked me. So I'm telling you,
Camera's up there.
I know it.
Jeez.
He walks his talk, this kid. It was horrible. That's a good thing, though.
Yeah, that was directed at you, navel gazing.
Navel gazing, number one, and that's a bad navel I have. And I hope that button's button. But the fact of the matter is he's exactly right. It's almost anti-social media. People have forgotten how to communicate with people because we have a phone between us in literally every conversation, and we've got to lose that. And we've got to remember when we're with people, and when you walk out the door, you completely speak it into your app. So the next time you see them, you'll actually remember them. You remember the date, you remember where you were, you remember what you talked about, and you can literally Google it. It's crazy.
It is. And just so often, you think you're never going to see somebody again, and you bump into them in some other context. And if you go, oh, I know that person, but I can't think of, I definitely don't remember their name. I remember one little thing about them or whatever it is. But if you could just, if you could search that, if you could bring it up and go right back to that point of relatedness, people freak out because they're just nobody's used to being remembered that way.
Yeah. And those who are afraid this show is going to end in half an hour, in 10 minutes or 11 minutes, remember we do a show after the show, which is pretty cool too. So I'm going to bring up a surprise guest, a homeless person turned good. So still pretty homeless, but he's awesome. So you're going to love what we have to say. That'll be a little bit of an after ad.
Yeah, cool. Good.
Okay, so what do I do now? Go back? No, we have time. Keep talking about contact mapping. You haven't even mentioned the website. How does any burn up? If I find out you're not on contact mapping, I'm coming over to your house. You too, Jason.
Yeah, so to check out contact mapping, there's actually a free 30-day trial, so you can go and experience this thing and not have to put any money up. So go to contactmapping.com. You get to try it out. We're going to send you a bunch of emails. We're going to show you how to use this thing to make you successful, because that's the number one thing, right? If you try this thing out and it doesn't click for you, then nobody's better off. What we want to do is actually transform your relationships. We want to make sure that you have those breakthroughs, and that this thing not only pays for itself financially, but that it pays for itself in so many other ways, just in terms of the life experiences that you're able to have as a result of connecting better with people.
Yeah, it'll be social capital more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to be better. We got to be better human beings. We got to give more. We got to love more. We got to like more. And you're not going to do it on social media. You're going to do it with human beings and remembrance. That's all it is.
Exactly what it is.
So
go to contactmapping.com and check it
I
out.
can hardly wait till April 11th because it's your birthday. No, it's not. It's April 18th. I was just kidding. All right, we're coming back right after this with the one and only Loren Lahav. So everybody stick around because we have to be quiet for just a couple seconds. And we're back. It's Tom Chenault. It's the Tom Chenault Show. Final segment with the great Loren Lahav. If you haven't watched this whole show, if you just got on right now, go back to the very beginning. This is a human being done well. Now we're going to ask her the $1 million question. And what is it? I mean, here you are in personal development. Here you are at the racetrack. Here you are doing all kinds of entrepreneurial stuff with your brother. Here you are in a life, the daughter of an optometrist. How on earth did network marketing make sense to you, Loren? And what do you think about it now, since you've been in it for 12 years? And just play like you're just getting started. Is your hair still as on fire?
Absolutely. My hair is more on fire
Yay.
than ever before. That's my favorite line that you say. When I was listening to you saying and you go with your hair on fire. That's my favorite thing. And then you have your hair on fire session. So I love that.
Yeah.
I'm more on fire. Are you kidding me? Every day, like I just did a post on Facebook about, I'm known as the what if girl. Like, what if I went in and called my friend, my one friend whose daughter had spinal muscular atrophy, and I called her, and now her daughter's 15 years old, or what if I hadn't called my friend Linda, who I know Linda adores you, and and you adore her. She's amazing. But what if I hadn't called her? Right. And it's my responsibility. I don't see network marketing as an opportunity. I see it as a responsibility. I really do, to help impact more people. I know that, the stories from what the business has done for people. I really want to acknowledge Eric and Marina again, just because I think that they've made it so simple for everybody, the systems, to put the systems, and then our job is to go talk to people and ask them the questions. We always say questions are the answer. We need to just start asking people more. But I'm more excited than ever with regards to network marketing, truly.
Good. Shout out real quickly to Jordan Adler. I mean,
Jordan. Oh my God, shame on me. Jordan's the reason why I freaking know all of you. I'm so sorry, Jordan. Oh my God. There's a great example. We were freaking at the foundation room. I went with my friend Susie to go see, she drugged me out because I was going through my divorce. She drug, however you say it, me out to take me to the foundation room because I was a member of the foundation room. And we go to see this magician, and she's over there talking to someone. I'm like, oh God, whatever. I wanted to just leave. And I end up talking to Jordan, and it turned out Jordan and I knew each other and knew of each other. And Jordan's the reason why he connected me to, I was listening to GoPro, and I was taking the videos and, putting them on my iPad. And I said to my friend Patrick, I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me to call Jordan, because Jordan actually participated in one of our backpack campaigns. I'm like, oh, I gotta call Jordan. And Jordan called me, and I'm like, oh my God, I was just listening to you on Eric Worre's GoPro. I got to go to that thing next year. And then next thing I hear this, oh, Loren, this is Eric Worre. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So Jordan, oh my gosh, I apologize.
And he's the connector, and he peeled his helicopter into a fuel truck, ended up underneath it, and gas pouring all over him. And God said, this guy can't die today. And he and his buddy walked away. So he's okay. He's banged up, probably freaking out a week and a half later. I would be. I'm a pilot. I know the fear involved with that. And I'm just telling you, we are so happy, Jordan.
I need to write him. I've been out of the country, so I need to follow that.
Yeah, I talked to him. He's good. But man, all of us, I mean, life is precious. And, you're one stray across that center line from being anywhere but as successful as you are right now. And Linda Evan, and you were talking about the lady down in Australia, she is a little rock star, and she posted a picture of her husband the other day that made me cry. I love the fact that people have such great lives out of coming into this profession, doing well at it, and then paying it forward. And her speech that I heard her do down in Australia was absolutely unbelievable. Then I saw her, I mean, I've seen her speak 3 times, and she just brings me to my knees. So you did a good job bringing that woman into the world. So thank you.
Good women, you know, and I'm glad everybody got to hear it. You know, Kim, when she did your show, you know, I mean, how she took something so, you know, horrible and is now able to pay it forward as well to help other people. It's just our responsibility, you guys. I don't know how else to, like, get curious, go out there, talk to I love, you know, Angel Fletcher, you know, about how she talks to everybody, you know, like, how's your day? It's fabulous. Like, you know, she's another great one. I'd like to get to know a lot better. I love, you know, listening to her and just her level of contribution as well. Just, there's so many cool people.
So I went to the Cubs game. Yeah, Laura, I go to the Cubs game 2 weeks ago. I can't, I'm living with my mother-in-law, and I know I'm going to drive her crazy if I stay there too much. So I'm traveling like crazy. That's the reason I'm going, is because I just don't want the woman to have a nervous breakdown. And it's working. And so as a result of that, I went to Chicago, and I put in Chicago that I was going to be there. And the first person that hit it was Angel to come to the Cubs game with us. So I moseyed over to the Cub game, and they have an apartment right across the street. They're living the life of Riley. It was just beautiful. And you're right. These people are kind, good people that give things away when people aren't looking. And I also want to be like them when I grow up. It's really, really cool. Her and Ryan. Good call. You notice you haven't talked about yourself like any kind of, you know, like, here's what I have, or here's what I'm doing. I mean, you are such a selfless leader. It almost creeps me out. I want to be like that. I mean, I truly do. And you are amazing. And I know everybody does too. Go to lorenlahav.com.
I want people to wake up. I want people to wake up. I'm looking at, I don't know if I'll show you, my normally would be, these are all my manifestation boards right there. You see them? And that's just half of them. But I mean, if you look at my every single one of the boards, it says, you know, I'm trying to say, you know, like be living proof, you know, be on a mission, time to be bold and real with people. All eyes are on you. For me, I'm really looking about who shine their way to a bright future, light their way to a bright future. I'm just looking like at me grateful. I'm looking at the words that are on there, and that's in front of me every day. That's what I look at every day. So what you look at every day, I mean, it matters. And, you know, I mean, look, all I can do is be my best me. I want to serve. I want to serve on a bigger scale. You know, I mean, I feel like I've only tapped like this much of my potential.
You really have.
And so I just want to go serve more. I want to go help more people. Let's do
God's
it.
got a big plan. We're out of here. We love all of you. And I am telling you, I'm so happy we just had one guest on this week, and we still didn't have enough time. We'll see you all next week on the Tom Chenault Show. Thanks, Loren.
Love you, Tom.
And we're back. Okay, Chad, get over here. So I want you guys to be, this is really the epitome of what we do. And I don't know if you remember this whack job, but this is Chad Williams. Chad is adorable. He was down in San Antonio and having a heck of a time with his food truck, his sobriety. He's got 20 years of sobriety. I can say that. He gave me permission. And he was living down there, going through a divorce and just turning his life around. And he met Sean Murphy. And Sean Murphy said, Chad, you need to meet Tom Chenault. So Chad and I got together because of our AA connection to change some lives. So he started hanging around with some of my friends down in San Antonio. Next thing you know, he's packed up his trailer and he moved to Longmont, and he's parked that trailer right in my parking lot. And he is like the 24-hour security guard there. And now he's decided to become a professional contact mapper. So he and I on a private Facebook page, because he's screwing so much stuff up. I didn't want to ruin anybody's life by trying to work with him. He is interviewing 2 people a day and 3 weigh-in 1, and I interview him every day about that on Facebook. And this is the bravest, best, most unbelievably good listener, not talker, you've ever met in your life, aren't you?
Yeah.
Isn't it awesome?
It is.
And you having fun?
I'm having fun.
And you got it, but you finally figured out the missing link. And what was that?
It's the heart.
Yeah, stop thinking so much.
It's the heart. It's an inquiry.
Yeah, it's that radical self-inquiry.
Yep.
Yep. And that's what he's doing. And it has changed. And he's sharing it with people. And he's building a tribe of like-minded, fierce warriors that love him instead of trying to fit in and be a hip, slick, and cool person like Adrian Chenault. He has decided to be his very best, beautiful Chad. And I love you for that.
Thank you.
Look how happy he is. Is that the cutest thing in the world?
I guess it is.
What time did you go to work this morning?
Oh, 4.
4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, here's a guy grinding it out all day long and then gets out here and rips his face off with me. I love you. Don't, Loren, if you're leaving, you get back here. So
She's a beautiful lady,
she
too.
is not bad to look at, is
No,
she?
she isn't.
Okay, well, don't be creepy.
Oh, no,
She
don't.
just got
She
her
just-
hair done. She's married to a very, very dangerous man.
Chuck Norris?
Yeah, Chuck Norris type. Yeah, for sure. It's so very cute. But isn't he what we're all about?
He is, and I love that he said he got the heart, baby. It's all about
Yeah.
the heart.
There you go. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right, get out of here so Adrian can come back and say goodbye to Laura. I love you, Chad.
Love you.
ChadWilliams.com. We'll not find him. He doesn't have a website yet. Do you?
No, not yet.
We'll get you one. Should have worked on that. He is adorable. I love him so much. And he is my people. That truly is. Chad Williams is where I resonate. We have another guy that lives in the lot in his van, and it is the most glorious thing 24/7 to be able to come down here, know the building's completely secure because the meth dealers and all those bad homeless people don't dare come by because Chad and John will run them off. But what I love the most is coming down here, having a cup of coffee with them, listening to them talk about life and hope, and knowing that we're all really in the same boat together. Don't you agree?
Totally agree. And I think what Chad has figured out naturally that so few of us ever figure out is that Chad genuinely will give you the shirt off his back.
No question.
Without, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And for all with him,
Don't do
oh
it.
God, he just took his shirt off.
Here's his shirt. Here's his
That
shirt.
is
We
unbelievable.
thought he was coming. So now we're all throwing up over here. Thank you, Chad. Okay, do some setups. Okay, so here we go.
But
Keep going.
usually it's trying to get people to actually care. Chad cares so much. It's having that show, having people realize what an unbelievable human being he is. And it has been really fun getting to go on that journey.
So what you guys don't know about Adrian and I is when Adrian was a little tiny kid, I got a divorce. And I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. And it was, so I had bunk beds for the kids, Adrian and his sister. And it was a cute little apartment, and I was in one side, and then half the week the kids came over and hopped in the, but one night I met a guy who was at an AA meeting, and it turns out he was homeless, so I brought him home and let him move into Adrian and Courtney's room, and then I made the walk-in closets their bedrooms, knowing little kids never sleep in their own beds anyway. So poor Adrian and Courtney grew up with a homeless guy living with us for how many years?
Wow.
I don't know.
Many years.
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8. Denise married him.
Wow.
So really, because he was also there when Denise was there. And he became a part of the family, didn't he?
Unbelievable.
And one of the cutest guys in the world.
This guy in the world.
That, yes, think about Elizabeth Smart and all that stuff. This could have ended so badly, but it worked out. And it turned out he was he taught us so much empathy, didn't he?
Unbelievable guy.
And your whole life is given toward that now again.
Yeah.
Just because of those life lessons like Loren of giving at a young age. And Loren's dad, somebody compared him to Jesus. How come you've never compared me to? Okay.
I'll tell you later.
I'll tell you later. That is so funny. But Loren, we love you and thank you.
I adore you. I adore you, and I'm really excited to see what we can do more together. So
Yeah,
I got to get off because I got a 3-way call.
yeah. I saw you picking up the phone. We're out of here. We love you. Say hi to everybody, to Jeff, to Tony, to Kim, to the world, because you know them all.
Thanks.
See you later, connector woman. We're out of here.
And now someone's going to teach me how to do contact mapping.
You got it.
All right.
We're going to have
Bye.
somebody on board you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye-bye.